What if I told you Ryuma's main adversary is still alive in One Piece, and he even appeared in the latest episode? If you're not caught up to Egghead, do not watch further. We've known since Thriller Bark that the world government doesn't touch Wano because of their powerful samurai. And when we get to the Wano arc, this is essentially all attributed to one man, Ryuma. Ryuma existed centuries ago. Who's the one swordsman who could have been an opponent of Ryuma all the way back then? How about the man who has a supreme grade cursed sword? Keep in mind, 200 years ago, Saturn looks exactly the same. And I think this immortality is clearly a power that Imu granted to them along with those yokai powers. Maybe Ethan always wanted to be stronger than Ryuma, and this was his way of doing that. Essentially, they sold their soul so they can live forever and they get these demon powers. Ryuma is called the god of the blade. What if Nesturo's epithet is something along the lines of like the devil of the blade? I mean, he literally sold his soul to the devil. And this red hair that Ethan's yokai form has is really significant. Because, as I've said many times, we have no idea who this red-haired character is in the Shimotsuki color spread. This is Ryuma, this is Ushimaru, we don't know who that is. I'd like to think we're seeing Prime Nesturo there. And as I've said, the suffix of Juro in Nesturo seems to be a custom native to Wano. Even if he's not from the Shimotsuki clan, he is clearly a samurai. So knowing the lifespans of the Gorosei, and that the world government fears Wano because of Ryuma, I think it's very likely that these dudes at least scrapped back in the day. And especially if they're from the same clan, I think they could have had a pretty good rivalry. A character we know for a fact is from the Void Century, Joy Boy, had an enemy in common with Ryuma, the world government. Though it's stated in a One Piece magazine that Ryuma lived 400 years ago, these magazines can be inaccurate. And in Japanese, the term for the time period where Ryuma lived is essentially the same as the Void Century. We also have this panel of Ryuma and Joy Boy being grouped together. As I've said, I think one of the reasons that Joy Boy's faction was so powerful is because Ryuma was in it. Joy Boy specifically preserved the ancient weapons for the future, right? Well, one of the ancient weapons is in Wano. The first thing Toki wanted to do when she met Odin was to go to Wano. From 800 years in the past, she came to Wano of all places to search for the day the world is turned upside down. Final nail in the coffin to me is Luffy and Zoro's relationship. I know it may sound repetitive, but if Oda were to replicate this with Joy Boy and Ryuma, I wouldn't be that mad at it if it were executed so it still feels a little bit distinct from this. But regardless of when Ryuma existed, I believe that Nesturo was his rival. That's part of the reason why I'm so hyped for this fight with Ethan, because I feel like he's going to lore drop so much about the Void Century and Wano and all that. My theory that Bogart is Zoro's grandfather can still work with this theory. Keep in mind, for all we know, this dude Pinzoro is alive. And do you genuinely think that any of these guys have a better jawline than this guy Pinzoro right here?
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's Bogart. We're in agreement.